season usually means cruise lines will be in and out of the Caribbean, but COVID-19 will likely slow that rollout. And today, our Washington correspondent Matt Naylor sits down one-on-one with Virgin Islands Congresswoman Stacy Plaskett to see what's being done in Washington to set sail.
Last quick thing on tourism. This is an interesting topic. It sounds like there's a lot of some progress, but a lot of work still to get the cruise industry and everything moving. What's being done to make that happen for this summer?
Yeah, so we're working on a lot of fronts, right? So had a meeting a week ago with the Coast Guard Admiral about moving the Coast Guard facility that is in Charlotte Amalie to another location so that the Veterans Drive can be completed in that area, which would free up congestion, not just for cruise ship passengers and tourists, but for Virgin Islanders on the road, working with the public works to ensure that our roads are, being fixed, expanded, able to support the residents of the islands as well as those individuals who may come, working with Carlton Dow on our ports to ensure that when we have the cruise ships coming back, we're able to facilitate them. We had legislation in the National Defense Authorization Act that re-federalized, meaning that the federal government took back over responsibility for the Christiansted Harbor and the Charlotte Amalie Harbor in terms of dredging so that they can be dredged for Oasis class ships when they come. And at the same time, I'm having meetings with CDC, with members of the administration, and working with other members that are being affected by the cruise lines as well. There are no cruise ships going into Florida. There are no cruise ships going into Louisiana, New York. There are places, Alaska. So working with those members as well to try and create what is the framework for the cruise ships being able to come back to American ports, recognizing for us, we're still competing with other Caribbean islands as well. The governor as well is meeting with the cruise line CEOs to get information with them as to what is your plan and the protocols to operate safely, conveying that and amplifying what they said they're going to be able to do with the administration, with other governors, as well as with the relevant health agencies, CDC and others.
And you can hear all of Matt's conversations with the Congresswoman on our website at onecaribbeantelevision.com. Well, we start today in Puerto Rico, where our Alanis Quinones brings us some rather good news about the first student from the University of Puerto Rico to be accepted into Harvard and pursue a PhD in astronomy.
From Puerto Rico to Harvard, this is the story of Kevin Ortiz, the first student from the University of Puerto Rico to be accepted in this prestigious institution for a PhD in astronomy.
It's a huge privilege. First of all, I'm really proud of being able to represent my university and my country. I feel really privileged that I get to continue my research in astronomy, which I began here in Puerto Rico.
The 22-year-old was accepted in the Astronomy Astrophysics graduate program, a challenge he will take on after he graduates from his bachelor's degree this spring. As many more students from the island, the Arecibo Observatory, which collapsed a few months ago after the National Science Foundation determined that the platform was probably too unstable to safely repaired, played such an important role on the development of this student, since it was there where he began his astronomy background in Puerto Rico.
I absolutely attribute my success to the access I had to be able to work with the observatory. And that's not just my case. Many students here in Puerto Rico were granted this unique privilege to be able to work with a cutting-edge facility in astronomical science and be able to contribute something to astronomy, even being just an undergraduate student as I was. So, I definitely feel that the observatory was a critical part of my success, my development, and that's also the case for countless other students here in Puerto Rico.
For this student, perseverance is the key, without putting aside to take care of yourself.
Perseverance is important, while also being mindful of self-care. Burning out can be dangerous, and so it's important to take care of yourself and persevere. And maybe it's going to take you a long time. For example, I took 5 years to complete my degree instead of the usual 4. But that allowed me to really take my time and focus on my work, and just really care about what I was doing and pursue my passion no matter how long it took me.
Kevin will begin this amazing journey next fall. We wish him the best of luck. Reporting from Puerto Rico, Alanis Quiñones.
Well, the largest drug seizure was reported in Puerto Rico, and it was the first semi-submersible vessel in the district. And Alanis Quiñones spoke to the FBI and the DEA to bring us this full report.
The FBI reported today what is believed to be the largest drug seizure in the Caribbean Puerto Rican district, to be specific, and it included a mixture of substances aboard a vessel they intervened with in April.
This was the largest drug seizure for the District of Puerto Rico. Was 2,500 kilograms on a semi-submersible vessel with 3 Colombians that were transiting up from South America with the destination for Puerto Rico.
So far this fiscal year, which started in October, these agencies have seized 17,000 kilograms of cocaine through the Caribbean Corridor Strike Force, breaking records from 2019 and 2020. One of the individuals was prosecuted by Mojo himself back in 2008. Now the 3 of them were charged under an act never before applied on the island.
It was charged under the Drug Interdiction Vessel Trafficking Act. It's those vessels that are submarines, semi-submersibles. They're stateless. And they're built and used just for that purpose, to transport drugs or money related to drug trafficking.
The vessel, which was over 50 feet long, is a type mostly used for this trafficking, but they are actually quite hard to find in an open sea.
They're low-profile vessels, and so to be able to detect them in the high seas, imagine with the waves and even at night, trying to observe these vessels as they transit the open seas is very difficult for law enforcement.
Mojo mentioned these drugs are mainly coming from Colombia and Venezuela, and that the team is doing everything in their power to keep investigating the operations from South America. Now, can the success they've had be attributed to more drugs coming in because of the pandemic?
It's hard to say if they're attempting more to enter, but I can tell you that the Caribbean Corridor Strike Force has been extremely successful in interdicting these types of cases through our partnerships in law enforcement in terms of our investigations and our long-term investigations, being able to prosecute these cases. I think it just shows the hard work of the women and the men of the Coast Guard, the local FURA, our CBP Air and Marine operations, and all of our local partners are just doing a great job out there.
Although they cannot disclose any information about ongoing investigations, they do assure that the efforts from all of the agencies is active. Reporting from Puerto Rico, Alanis Quiñones.
And Government House is reporting the territory is maintaining a low COVID rate, but is asking U.S. Virgin Island residents to still stay safe and practice social distancing, as we're not out of the woods just yet. Now, the Department of Health noted India's recent devastating struggles at the governor's news conference on Monday. And reporter Ali Born-Vanek has more.
Emily, a couple of important updates from Government House on COVID-19. One, the territory's COVID rate is now below 2%. And for that breakdown, that includes 67 active cases, 41 on St. Thomas, 24 on St. Croix, and 2 on St. John. In total, there have been about 37,000 people who have received at least one COVID shot, and just over 25,000 people who are fully vaccinated. And as we have been reporting, the government's goal is to have at least 50,000 people fully vaccinated. In COVID-related news, there is also an update on the stimulus checks being mailed out to VI residents. Here's more.
Last week, the Department of Finance issued 3,537 CARES Act 2 stimulus checks, totaling over $2.7 million to Virgin Islands residents. The Bureau of Internal Revenue submitted a listing of approximately 1,700 names to the Department of Finance for processing this past Friday. This represents the total number of individuals who have only recently filed their 2019 taxes or had issues with their recently resolved filing. Those checks, those last 1,700 checks, will be mailed out this week. That represents the last issuance of the CARES Act 2 or the $600 stimulus payments. Although the deadline for making claims for this stimulus payment ended on March 15th. We have left the door open to allow as many people as possible to be issued checks under that funding.
Government House also reports that there will be a future announcement on a mortgage assistance programs for those who have been affected by COVID-19.
Well, as the push to get folks vaccinated continues, several companies are now jumping in on the push, including Uber, which has recently collaborated with the Teachers Association of Puerto Rico to tackle transportation barriers.
The Uber company and the Teachers Association of Puerto Rico created a collaboration to facilitate free transportation for school teachers and school personnel with the purpose of them being able to get to their vaccine appointments.
This partnership with the Association of Teachers in Puerto Rico is part of Uber's commitment to offer 10 million free rides to those trying to get to a vaccine distribution center. Transportation should never be a barrier to accessing the COVID-19 vaccine. And we know that on the island, there's a lot of folks that have challenges trying to find a ride to either their appointment or one of the centers offering the vaccine.
Right now, the island is at a critical level regarding the virus, which makes it even more important for people to get their shots as soon as possible.
It's extremely important. It's extremely important because, as you already mentioned, right now, 73 municipalities out of 78 are on the highest rank of transmission. That means the whole island, basically, it's in a state where everybody needs to be vaccinated. We know and we understand that this won't stop you to get the virus, but at least if you are vaccinated, that means that your symptoms are not going to be as terrible as if you were not. So we need everybody to get vaccinated at this point.
This initiative will be active all the way to September with the purpose of reaching 10 million free rides.
We have a link which is called Uber Vacunate at amprnet.org. The employee gets sent an email and he will receive a promotional code that will allow this person to have 2 rides. One from his home or wherever he decides to the center of vaccination, and from the vaccination center and back to a maximum of each ride. The maximum is $15.
Now you might be asking yourself what happens with the trip for the second shot. Well, good news, it is also covered.
Something else that's very important is that it's 4 trips per rider, because we know that there's a lot of essential workers that may be getting a vaccine that requires 2 doses. So we know that they may have to return to that center 3 or 4 weeks later to receive the second dose of the vaccine. So as part of our commitment, it's not just the first trip that we are covering. We are also covering the 4 trips so that these essential workers have free transportation at a value of $15 per Uber trip to and from both of their appointments.
As of right now, at least 2 million citizens have been inoculated on the island. Reporting from Puerto Rico, Alanis Quiñones.
Well, a long-time U.S. Virgin Islands tradition is experiencing a revival, all thanks to the St. Thomas Historical Trust and its workshop. Now, it's been a territory-wide effort to help pass along the technique of this craft. In One Caribbean News, Ellie Bourne-Vanek has more on how this tradition is taking off now stronger than ever before.
Inside the St. Thomas Historical Trust, about a dozen VI residents are hard at work learning the ins and outs of a VI tradition called furniture caning, an art that Virgin Islander Keith Richards was widely known for, now passed down to family like his daughter Chanel.
When he did his chairs, I stood there, he told me what to do, and I was able to enjoy and got excited about even learning it more and even teaching the class also.
Teaching furniture caning is in Chanel's blood. Her father, an expert caner, was preparing to teach it at the St. Thomas Historical Trust, but sadly passed away.
He did a lot of work for Senator Myron Jackson also. A lot of his work he did with him also.
His memory lives on in his creations and this workshop, where everyone is excited to learn and build up a craft that hasn't been seen as much.
Caning a chair is like a pattern, so there's 7 steps. You have to, you realize when something is wrong, even though you might not be a pro at it, by, working on it, you say, oh, something is wrong here. You rip it out, you start again, so it just gives you a gratification that, you're passing on, you're preserving history, you're preserving a culture that has been gone for a long time.
Through the help of these workshops at the St. Thomas Historical Trust, Furniture Canyon is now back on the scene in the territory, bringing more teachers into the fold and 14 new caners to the craft.
This is a traditional cane chair now, and it's really gratifying, I think, not just for me, but for everybody involved, to be able to do this with their family members and carry on a tradition that comes from their family, and to carry on the culture, a cultural tradition that's important in the Virgin Islands.
Okay, this is a mahogany chair. They generally say 8 to 12 hours, but this is taking a lot longer. If you miss one step or weave, you have to take the chair down to, I say, ground zero, strip it out. So it's taking more than 25 hours.
This art has been somewhat stagnant and almost was to the point of extinction. And because of this particular class and the individuals that are involved in it now, it has started a spark. And hopefully, because of that, we will be able to continue to do this tradition or cultural type of art that we've had in the past for so many years.
I know he's here. I always, when I'm here in this class or in this space, I feel his presence because I could hear him saying to me, no, that doesn't look right. Or, take that out. But he did a lot of work here in the Virgin Islands. He did a lot of work for the government house. He did a lot of their chairs. He did work at West Indian Company dock. So he laid a foundation, and he has, set a standard for everyone to follow.
He leaves a legacy where Virgin Islanders can preserve history and culture in the palms of their hands. Well, Earth Day was last week, but in the Turks and Caicos, celebration continues with an Earth Day market, a chance for residents to get out and support local growers.
Day should be every day. It was the recurring point for residents who happily turned out to support the Earth Day market, which showcased local growers and conservation arms of the Turks and Caicos Islands government and civil society.
It's good to have this. It reminds us of how beautiful Turks and Caicos is. It reminds us of how blessed we are.
But I'm really happy. I've been looking for this for a week, so this is great.
Everything that you see here in Stream to Sea actually has no chemicals that are harmful to the environment. Even the very containers that we utilize here, they look like plastic, they feel like plastic, but they're actually made from sugarcane resin. So they're totally biodegradable.
With blue hair and a blue message, the Turks and Caicos Refund was pleased to partner with Graceway Communities, the philanthropic arm of Graceway Supermarkets. The Earth Day market was fun inside the IGA store, but especially outside where seedlings were on sale.
We always try to do something for Earth Day because we believe that preserving the environment is important, and so we always want to do something to just keep the awareness out there.
You can win anything from dinners at several restaurants, kayak tours, rash guards, a brewery tour for 4.
Growing TCI is a mission for the Department of Agriculture, and now more than ever, the message of home gardens is resonating with locals due in part to the COVID-19 lockdown.
But this has been great for the Turks and Caicos Islands. We are seeing that new farmers groups are coming to life. Persons are trying to move from that backyard garden to farming.
The Earth Day market not only gave showcase but tangible transactions which helped local growers.
Get stimulated.
Money, yeah, get stimulated. I love it. It should be Earth Day every day. Well, not every day. I need some rest, but it should be Earth Day at least twice a month.
I think today is wonderful. We should keep it like this all the time.
Guyana's President Irfan Ali hinted at the possibility of introducing a vaccine passport for his country as CARICOM territories continue to see a rise in deaths and new COVID-19 cases. President Ali on Wednesday told a news conference that his administration is prepared to examine all options to deal with the pandemic, including a vaccine passport in the face of hesitancy by some people to get vaccinated, as well as the recklessness of others in flouting the existing health protocols. Now, he promised that more law enforcement officials would be deployed to ensure compliance with the already existing COVID-19 guidelines. President Ali said given the fact that vaccination is not mandatory, his administration must examine all means so the country can move forward.
While the government is taking every step to have everyone vaccinated, it is a responsibility of every citizen, though not mandatory, to understand the importance of vaccination. These vaccines come with a shelf life, costs for storage and transportation, which are enormous and will not forever be available. To get back to normalcy, the introduction of a mass vaccination passport is being contemplated by many countries. In fact, we have already seen countries lower entry requirements for vaccinated persons. We here in Guyana will soon have to consider this option. Regardless of whether you have been vaccinated or not, we must all follow the COVID-19 guidelines. We have hoped that common sense would have prevailed in following the established guidelines, and unfortunately, it hasn't.
In the meantime, Puerto Rico is making history with the first pair of sisters to play in the women's singles tournament in the same Olympic Games. Now, as we inch closer to those Tokyo Olympic Games, our Alanis Quinones brings us this next story.
The Olympic Games are set to happen this summer, and Puerto Rico has amazing representation in the table tennis sport, a pair of sisters that the Puerto Rican people have fallen in love with, and they are actually the first sisters to play in the women's singles tournament in the same Olympic Games. For the youngest, Adriana, which is 20 years old, these are not her first Olympics. She was part of the Rio 2016 Olympic Games. And as of right now, she is ranked the 16th better table tennis player in the world.
You achieved your path to Tokyo 2020 with the gold medal in the singles in the Pan American Games in Lima. Tell me a little bit about that, because I know, and we all know, these are not your first Olympics.
I knew at Rio 2016 that I wanted to go at every Olympics I could. I mean, I love the environment, the village, the athletes. It was so amazing that I just couldn't miss one Olympics. So yeah, I'm very happy to go back. I won at Pan Am Games. I wasn't even thinking of the Olympics until I won. That my mom told me like, oh, now you're qualified to the Olympics. And I was like, oh my God, that's another thing like checked off. I was so happy.
Her older sister, Melanie, is 24 years old. Back in 2016, she posted a picture in social media writing in the sand, Tokyo 2020, with the aspiration of having the opportunity to join her sister this time. 5 years later, her dream became a reality.
Then I was definitely like very sad because I wanted to be with them and I was supporting her from home, but still like I missed them and like we are a team, so I felt like alone in that time. But I wanted to give myself like support because I really needed it at that time, so I just like went to the beach and I made a promise to myself, and I also made it to my dad, and she wanted me to qualify so bad also, so it was all like very good. And then when I finally like did it, I think like I never expected to like have accomplished all my dreams by the age of 24.
The pair from Utuado, Puerto Rico has been trained by their dad, which has made this a family effort.
I think that is like basically like the secret, because like I feel like we are very united as a team and we support each other very much. And I don't know, to be able to be traveling around the world and training with them, it just like makes it easier in some ways, but harder in other ways. But still, it's a very good feeling when we accomplish our dreams together.
Although the Olympic Games are set to happen this July 23rd, the protocols still haven't been officially informed. Meanwhile, the sisters continue to train from the island to protect themselves from any possible exposure that could end up in COVID-19. We'll definitely stay tuned to their development, and we wish them the best of luck. Reporting from Puerto Rico, Alanis Quiñones.
Let's continue for those affected by the loss of free volcano eruptions. Now, I had the chance to talk to Kara Dennell, who's helping with those relief efforts, about what items are most needed and where people can go who are looking to help. So are you seeing a lot of people stepping forward and stepping up to help collect donations for St. Vincent?
Yes, honestly, the responses have been amazing. You know, people from Toronto, UK, Miami, Atlanta, the Caribbean, Barbados, Jamaica, everyone is coming together for this initiative to support St. Vincent right now.
And how much have you been able to collect and send to St. Vincent so far?
We have an entire storage of items that we've been collecting, over the past 10 days or so. We had a major shipment go out yesterday. That was 2 pallets that went out with Pampers, hygiene items, bleach, different cleaning supplies, as well as about 25 mattresses went out yesterday on the vessel. So we're aiming to at least send out 2 pallets minimum over the next couple of weeks to St. Vincent.
Now, who's distributing the donations once they get on St. Vincent?
Skinny Fabulous and his team at Oxygen Mass. So he is co-owner alongside Karen Vera for Oxygen Mass, and they are literally on the ground driving around. Skinny and the boys are driving up to the orange zone, trying to get stuff to the red zone, and they are going to persons who are displaced. They've been doing this since this has happened. They are literally just out there on the ground getting things out, as well as their team. I think that this has really given a lot of persons a new sense of purpose, given the pandemic and not being able to work and not being able to travel as much as they do. Helping other people is really giving them new life.
And what are those who haven't evacuated St. Vincent doing? What do things look like right now on the island?
Right now, the entire red zone is covered in ash, so they have tried to evacuate that area. There are still persons who are not trying to leave, so they're trying to urge them to get out of that area. The green zone has come back to some sense of new normal, as you would say, but right now, things definitely in the red zone are very bad. The villages have been evacuated, and people are really just trying to, get as much stuff and supplies to those persons because the shelters are overwhelmed. There are about 8,500 people who are displaced at this point. So things are a little bit heavy on the ground right now.
And where can people be directed who want to help donate or give what they can? Where can they be directed?
They can check us out on Oxygen Mass. So if they go on Instagram, it's at OXYGENMAS. They can just reach out to that page. On that page, there's also a few flyers that are posted with information for different cities. So if you want to reach out to someone in Toronto or Atlanta, there's a contact number on there. So I would urge everyone to just go to the social media page, and then they can connect depending on what city they're in to reach out to someone.
Now, what items are most needed?
Right now, a lot of hygiene as well as mask, goggles, so hygiene packs, toothbrushes, sanitary napkins, Pampers, baby items. There's a lot of babies that don't have Pampers daily. We're urging people to, if you're going to support, send water, send hygiene packs, send stuff that you really would need. When you think about your day-to-day life, what are the things that you need as a necessity? Those are the things that are really needed on the ground right now. Every little bit helps, no matter where in the world you are, whatever you can give. If you can share the information with someone who can give, that goes a long way. I know not everyone is in the position to be able to give back, or send money or send items, but maybe you have a friend or a cousin or a sister that can do that. So I would urge everyone to just get the information out there. We are all one, we are all family. These are our brothers and sisters in St. Vincent that really need us. They are a very small island, so something of this magnitude has really affected them on a much larger scale than if it was to happen somewhere else. So I would just urge people, please just do your part however you can, support, help, check out Oxygen Mass, and just send love to the team. There's a lot of people that are out here on the ground right now, risking their lives to help others. Just continue to send prayers and blessings and do your part, as I said. And thank you to everyone who has supported thus far. Like I said, we've received a tremendous response from across the island Netherlands, from across the US, across Canada, across the UK. Thank you so much to everyone who has been supporting this movement thus far. And let's continue to help rebuild St. Vincent.
And Kara did want to give a special thanks to her team working in Trinidad: Edmund Joachim, Shomari Smith, David Blah, and Trevlin Lazama. And again, if you would like to donate and help in these relief efforts, you can do so by heading to the Oxygen Mass Instagram page, or with any questions that you might have. You can also message Kara herself at her Instagram handle right there on your screen.